So this Tuesday, April 25th, a U.S. judge blocks Trump's order threatening funds for sanctuary cities. I'm sure you've obviously heard about many cities like Los Angeles and Miami, San Francisco have said they're going to be sanctuary cities. So if any, when Trump started, I'm going to start deporting everybody. They said these are going to be safe cities. And then Trump responded with, I'm going to pull federal funding. You're not going to get any money, which here in California has fueled a lot of let's start our own country. Let's secede from the union. And so what happened here is a federal judge basically said it's unconstitutional. You can't do that with federal money. Congress has to determine that. And of course, the Trump people are like, we're going to appeal this and everything else. And it's significant because it's another example of how Trump thinks that the president is the chairman of the board. I'm the CEO. I can do whatever I want. He doesn't understand there's all these checks and balances. But it also, previous administrations have slowly made it so the president has all of this power. And, people don't pay attention and don't vote. And they also make it very difficult for everybody to vote. Then this just sort of slowly has happened over time. Trump's just rogue attitude didn't come out of nowhere. And the sanctuary city thing, and this is a very interesting legal and budgetary fight, because the federal government gives a lot of money to the states, and how can each state respond? Some of them responded differently. Now, in my opinion, California is in a decent position because we legalized recreational marijuana this past election. It becomes legal January 1st, 2018. They've estimated that it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of $7.5 billion in revenue for the state, which could help a lot of problems. So I would suggest to you, as I've said before, on the local level, on the municipal and small level, start figuring out how you don't have to be as responsible to the federal government, because this thing drives me nuts. Republicans are always like, states' rights, states' rights, states' rights. And then a Republican president says, I'm going to pull your federal funding if you don't do what I say to a state. And all of his Republican buddies go, yeah, it's such hypocritical bullshit. That's what they just, states' rights, states' rights. Oh, except for immigration and gay marriage and marijuana, then we got to come in and shut you down. So I'll go into the details of this. So a U.S. District Judge, William H. Orrick III, a President Obama appointee based in San Francisco, said Trump's January 25th order directed at so-called sanctuary cities and counties was unconstitutional. The Constitution vests the spending powers in Congress, not the president, so the order cannot constitutionally place new conditions on federal funds. So the Trump administration said it would appeal the decision to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which already is considering his travel ban. Reince Priebus said that it will be overturned eventually and will win the Supreme Court level. Yeah, you got the Supreme Court guy in there. You got Gorsh in there. You blocked Obama from getting somebody in there. And Hillary runs a shitty campaign, and we're stuck with this nonsense. So the ruling stemmed from lawsuits by San Francisco and Santa Clara County challenging the order. Among other claims, the suits argued that the directive violated the 10th Amendment, which protects states from federal government interference. Again, when a Democrat is in the office, then they're always like, they always cry that the Democrats are going to come take your rights and your guns and everything else. And the Republicans do it worse. They're both fucking idiots. And they've tried to go around it, but it was worded by Jeff Sessions, and they've made it clear that they would threaten all federal funds, which they can't do. And is anybody gonna start impeaching this asshole? And this is what happens when the Democrats are so weak, and to listen to the Hillary people, they blame everybody else, right? They blame Bernie, they blame Jill Stein, they blame Russia, they blame everyone else. They won't take responsibility for the fact. And then I say, we got to hold, when Kamala Harris said we can't have purity tests. And I was like, yeah, you do. And someone on Twitter was like, Graham, I agree with you on a lot of things, but I don't think purity test is a good idea. Why not? Look what happens when we don't have purity tests. We have nothing. And the Republicans, they can do whatever the fuck they want now. We lost the White House, the Senate, the House of Congress, 2/3 of the governorships, and over 900 state Senate seats. Of course Priebus is like, yeah, well, this will pass. And they got their guy in the Supreme Court. When we don't have real progressive leadership resisting this kind of shit, and you become part of it, when the left falls to the center and to the right and lets this happen and takes the payout money and the big corporate checks, then this is what is left. Weak resistance to this crazy demagogue that's doing whatever the hell he wants. And I hope it's making people realize this, because you're still hearing, I hate to keep bringing up, as I've said before, like the Hillary and the corporate Democrats, but they keep saying this shit. They're not owning it. Donna Brazile wants to go to war with Russia rather than say, yeah, I cheated. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is saying, yeah, the Democrat Party, we're a grassroots party. Oh, really? You're so grassroots that you just keep getting your ass kicked over and over again? A bunch of people have said this, and it bears repeating. The Democrats would rather lose to Republicans than let a progressive actually get in there. Because if real progressives got in there, then all these corporate Democrats lose their paychecks, lose their big payday. So this is how we got to try to resist as best we can. But it's like, how are we supposed to resist when we have no firm leadership from one of the major parties? We just have platitudes and corporate doublespeak and, we got to fight, resist, equality. Oh, great for airstrike, though. Like, everyone just fell in line after the airstrike. And I'm supposed to line up with them? This is what happens when we have no resistance from the left. This is what Chris Hedges said in Death of the Liberal Class. I'll read these last couple things. Dave Cortez, president of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, declared that politics of fear just suffered a major setback. Yeah, keep sticking it to Trump however you can. Millions of people across the country can continue to receive essential medical care, go to school, and remain active members of their communities without fear that their local governments are being forced to work against them. Just speak real clear here, too. The federal funding that Trump is threatening to pull from sanctuary cities is like stuff people need. Medical care, scholarship stuff, infrastructure stuff. He's going to make your life worse. Trump is going to make your life worse by pulling this federal funding if you live in a sanctuary city. I live in a sanctuary city. And I'm glad that they're resisting him and telling him to go fuck himself, because they could buckle like the mayor of Miami-Dade County immediately directed jail officials to honor all requests by immigration agents because he said he feared the county would lose $355 million a year in federal funding. He just buckled for $350 million. Kind of don't know if I can blame him. Santa Clara County officials had argued the order threatened $1.7 billion in annual federal funding. San Francisco says it stands to lose $1.2 billion a year. So I applaud them for resisting and taking him to court and getting at him every legal way that they can. But we got to, again, I know it's a broken record, but it's why we need real resistance from the left. And maybe it's not the Democratic Party. Maybe we need a third and a fourth party like they just had in France. Maybe we need two outside parties. What if a presidential election 2020, the top two candidates were like the Green Party and the Libertarian Party running against each other? Wouldn't that be fantastic? Get all these other assholes out of here. Oh, man. But I don't think they're going to tell you this on the corporate media, you guys. Which is why you got to support the Patreon page, like and subscribe, and share these videos. Thanks for watching.